Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
Live from the virtual Auto Club Speedway, we welcome race fans one and all back to Green Flag TV, where this afternoon we get set to duke it out once again around this absolutely phenomenal racetrack. Welcome to the ASRL Xfinity Series once again on Green Flag TV. My name is Ola Rampo alongside Scott Rank, and we're bringing you all of racing action from start to finish from this 2-mile behemoth. Scott, we know it, we love it, it's Auto Club. It might not exist in the real world, but it still exists on iRacing, and it still gets just as much love as it ever deserved.
Yeah, it is, and this is one of my favorite racetracks. I've got like a 75% win rate or something in leagues here. Like, personally, I'm a huge fan of this track. The win record it's just an added bonus, but I just love the way that this track races. It's wide. There's overtaking opportunities. There's bumps. This track has got so much character that if they'd have torn it down and put up a super speedway instead, everyone would have rioted.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of those places, right? There's just something about it that feels special. And it was like that back when this track was in the real world as well. It's such a shame that this track was not more popular among real world fans. And it's part of why we see this track now left by the wayside in the process of being demolished. But here on iRacing, we still get to experience this 2-mile facility in all of its glory. And boy, is it ever a track where it's harder to put on a bad race here than it is to put on a good race, just with how this track races. And with the champion that continues to pick up, we're looking set for a wild one as well. Right now, 6 starts, 6 different winners. We have not yet had a repeat winner, and with how volatile Auto Club can be, we could very well be getting a 7th different winner in ASRL competition this single season this afternoon.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing. Race number 7 on the calendar, we haven't got anyone, after the dominance that we had last season, and then we move into this season, and it's just been completely different story. But look, you know, is that a case of we've changed hardware, we've changed chassis, we've moved over to the Xfinity? Look, the next gen chassis is very difficult to drive. It gives you very little feedback, and it drives on edge. It's great for an elite level race car driver. Those level of guys do very, very well in the car because they don't need a lot of feedback, and that's the sort of level that you've got to drive at. The Xfinity is just a much better lower level racing car. It provides a better spectrum of racing, and I think the racing we've seen thus far basically represents that.
Well, Joshua Hagee right now on top of the points boards with Brody Gunter just behind him for the 510 Racing number 01 with 449, and it's a long way back to Joshua Rutherford, right? So it is looking like, in terms of the regular season championship, it's going to go down between those top two. But right now, Matthew Croak still within striking distance of Tommy Cook up in 9th place, but he is also that vulnerable with 2 cars, in fact 3 cars, only separated by about 11 points, and 12 if you want to include Jarrah Williams just a little ways behind as well.
Yeah, and have a look at how close the points are. You know, you run all the way down to 10th spot, and we're only 150 points off the championship lead. There's gaps of 4 points there. Look from Matt Williamson at 310 points, 1 point back to Corey Rutherford, 4 points back to Tommy Cook, 4 points back to Croak. So there's cover, there's gaps in this in this field where there's nothing covering it. And realistically, at the end of tonight, if Matt Williamson is beaten by 2 spots by Corey Rutherford, we see a positional change in the championship. How good is that from a stories perspective as well?
It's fantastic, especially since we're entering the back half of the regular series season here, right? I mean, we're into week 7 of 12 in terms of regular season races. So time's starting to run out, and you've got 2 wildcard races coming on up. You got Martinsville and Le Mans coming on up for the next 2 weeks, right? Those are 2 tracks. Anything can happen at those places. One of them is, it's Martinsville, so we obviously know how that race is going to go down, but Le Mans is a new track. It's a track these cars are familiar with, and it's something that a lot of these drivers, I'm willing to bet, have probably never even raced before this week.
Well, I think the big thing going into Le Mans is that can we actually have brakes fail? Because if brakes were going to fail, they'd fail at Le Mans. Long straights, big intense braking zones, and then all of a sudden they have to cool back down again, and that's what introduces brake warping, which is seeing those discs explode at Gateway a whole bunch. So those are effectively the perfect conditions for that style of finish. Anyway, qualifying's in the books here, Nolan. That means we got ourselves our starting grid.
Yes, sir. Time to take a rundown of how everything's going to line on up for racing action this afternoon at the Auto Club Speedway. Starting on pole position, it is last week's winner, Mark Krinke, took the win in a great race at Irwindale. He will now start just on the front row beside Matt Schlosser. Joshua Hagee, the current points leader, starts at the number 3 spot with Joshua Rutherford back in 4th. Mike Hamlin starts in 5th with Carson George in 6th. From there, it's Corey Rutherford back in 7th with Nate Morris in 8th. And then Paul Ellison and Jared Williams close out the top portion of the field.
Moving into the back half of the field is going to be Matt Williamson, Brody Gunter, who's qualified a long way down for him. He'll be a little bit annoyed with that one. Jake Erickson, Kenny Hoffman, new to the series. Good to see a new driver jumping in. Dave Seats, Matthew Crokin, Brian Bono, Travis Fleming, Casey Campbell, all setting times. Drivers to not set time, Austin Cole and Alex Howland. Although I haven't seen Alex Howland in practice, I don't expect him to take the start of the race.
Well, you say that, he's gridded up and ready to rumble, so he's sitting back there, probably just didn't want to qualify, but there he is in that ESGI number 2 Mustang, ready to rumble.
So there you go, he has made the grid. Yeah, so critically for Howland, has not set a lap time in practice, has not set a lap time in qualifying, and yeah, he's going to roll off here from the tail end of the field. So he's going to be learning on the fly at the back end of this one. Might have done some practice midweek, but yeah, he's certainly going to be coming from the rear with no time. And I was just looking through the entries he entered, I think, in the middle of qualifying, hence why I didn't actually set a time on that one. Tommy Cook just made his way into the server. I don't know if he'll actually get his way out of the racetrack though.
And in fact, he will not. He has missed the call. Brody Gunter, you see him working his way down and out towards the tail end of the field. So not sure why Brody Gunter's been sent to the back of the pack, but, well, that's where he will line up for racing action here this afternoon. Mark Krinke, meanwhile, last week's winner, coming off of a strong win at the Irwindale Speedway by 1.3 seconds, and it could very well find that Mark is a big contender. He's often at the front, right, but not really ever in those race-winning positions, but starting on pole is always a good start.
Well, that gives him a good opportunity. Schlosser's been pretty consistent, I think, thus far this season. So this is a big opportunity for him to get an early run in from that outside lane. 120 laps here tonight, too, Nolan. So remembering we're running from a 2-miler, we're looking at 240 miles here tonight. And see if we can't get this one in less than 2 hours. This will be an interesting one. You're going to see the cars moving around. The biggest thing that we're sort of looking at when we jumped into the server, it was a little bit cooler. Track temp starting to climb. Car's going to be a touch loose.
We'll work our way to the Geico restart zone, and it's time to get the party started as we go from Fontana!
I love those words, baby. Here we go, on the run out of turn 1. Krinke got a great jump, Schlosser did not, and he's going to shove the nose through on the inside. He'll look to try and get to the inside of Krinke. Won't quite get there. Krinke got loose, though, in the middle of the corner, Nolan.
Wicked sideways off the top shelf at turn number 2, firing on all cylinders down the back straightaway. Joshua Hagee picks up 2 in the opening stages as he fires it down into turn numbers 3 and 4. And this one looking like it'll go the way of the number 7, or will it? Because here comes Max Schlosser. Max Schlosser digging for the inside on the turn number 4. And already we've had just about 3 different leaders in just the opening lap.
Yeah, we certainly have. Schlosser actually got there. He did get the lead just before the line, so he got there. The big thing for Higi, he got tight. Car wouldn't rotate as those tires were still coming back up to temperature. So he was looking and chasing that car.
Back behind, sorry to cut you off, Carson. George got pitched sideways in the middle of turn 1. Looking like Nate Morris also stumbling towards the tail of the field. So a near miss early on, but we survive it. We keep it green.
Big thing, a lot of sliding of tires right there. So George is in a lot of trouble, and Nate Morris was the driver who jumped into the chat and immediately said, hey, that one's on me, my apologies. So he's very conscious that, oh my God, the car on the outside barrier. Was that Morris? That was Morris.
That was Morris, yeah. Just ran him over on the top side of the racetrack, and one of the DK cars kind of got bottled up as well. There is Nate Morris taking a pit road. Oh boy, that right front is not even hooked up to that race car. Look at that, just no rotation at all.
He's dragging that thing around at the moment, so might just be done for the day. Interesting to note as well, 4 sets of tires across the 120 laps. Got to get through 30 laps minimum on these tires. I'd still be looking to try and double. You're probably only going to get 20 to 25 laps on a stint here too, so that means you've definitely got to double tires at least once.
Turning lap 4 of 120. Long way to go in racing action tonight. Josh Rutherford pushes up for the bottom side. He caught the outside wall for a moment, coming off of turn 2. While further behind for the first time, we get single filed out with Matt Williamson tucking in behind Connor Dudek.
Good to see Dudek out there and slotting in on that one. Good opportunity for him to pick up some points here tonight.
And Austin Cole. He saw Cole almost hip check Rutherford up into the outside wall. Cole had a pretty good run last week at Irwindale. Was looking set to take the win. He was feeling confident and, well, unfortunately, didn't quite go his way as it kind of went awry for him in that race. But now you see him trying to chase Rutherford down the racetrack, trying to block off the run, but Rutherford easily had the nose in and let the swap drafting battles commence.
Yeah, and the big thing is, Austin Cole's going to get a big slide on through 3 and 4. They hit the bump, and that's where the rear end started to come around. So either bottomed out, and the rear end lost all its downforce as there was no undercarriage work for him there, and that's why Rutherford. So the difficult thing about long runs and setting it up and getting the job done here is that if you send it into the bottom of the racetrack is actually big enough here that the other guy can just turn it back down underneath you when you try and send the slide job. You'll lose all the momentum, and he can just drive back past you on the next straightaway. So that's something you're going to manage, is trying to get the job done nice and cleanly and shut down the run for the other guy. And the big thing that Austin Cole's going to work with at the moment is draft plays such an immense factor to managing to keep the pace up around here. So he's got to obviously be aggressive, cut his way through, save tires, save fuel, but not lose the draft, because it's such an important thing to not lose the draft here. And that's the risk that he's playing. That little pack that's ahead of him, which I believe has got Hamlin, Krinke, and Josh Higi in it, as Matt Schloss is going to take the opportunity to lead a bunch of laps. They were just a little concerned about losing them, so Cole's not sent it. Now it's actually going to be Rutherford who gets the outside barrier off it too.
Joshua Rutherford still looking inside, got the nose in there, tracking up, right up by that third seam, but Austin Cole is going to pull clear from the inside, but Rutherford will be able to get some momentum back with him as he works down the front straightaway. He's trying to tuck into the drafted line, and he is going to find it there as they work their way through the, would you call that a tri-oval?
It's not really a tri-oval, it's just a kink, realistically.
Not even that, it's a sweeper.
Yeah, that's a better call for it. I like that, actually. Carson George is on a pit lane. So he may have cooked his tires, and he's sort of forced... Even if he was forced into this hole whereby he's off sequence, I still wouldn't be coming this early. Because the problem is you can now never take advantage of a caution in the back half of this race. No tires, though. So this is odd. This is fuel only.
So this is a strategy call then. I guess figured, hey, I mean, I'm down right now. May as well make a fuel-only call if that's something that these guys are going to have to do. Get it out of the way early on. Now I can just focus on getting up there towards the front of this race. While all these other guys are burning all of their equipment up, battling side by side in the early stages.
He just said, I came to pit lane, there was damage. That was the reason he came to pit lane, but it was only 6 seconds with the damage. Even if you are so strategically, that's not a good enough reason for me to come to a pit lane, because we can see it. The hit that he got, it was really minor, but these cars are super sensitive to the aero. Particularly, the biggest thing is this is, you know, we're not at a super speedway, but we're very, very close to it. So any imperfections on the car will cause issues. The only place he got tagged was the left rear. Maybe he got contact, so there's the left-hand side damage right there. That'll be what he's complaining about. But even so, you can't get yourself off sequence, because what he's done is he's not sure of what he's got, and all he's done is ruined his race to check it. You can't do that to your race. So what he's done is incredibly. That's just thrown him so far off sequence that he now has to have a bunch of things go his way. One of the biggest things we have about ASRL, very few cautions when we're on the big tracks like this.
So George on the back foot, while Krinke and everybody else continues these early race scraps. They usually keep the first portion of this race so entertaining. Krinke has dropped back to third. He has not managed to recover from the opening lap, and Max Schlosser has pulled out a 1 second gap at the head of the field. That is not nothing at a track where drafting is so valuable. I'm a bit surprised that he's managed to pull out a gap like that. I would imagine he is cooking those tires to build that up.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, sometimes you can, but the big thing is you could see that Higgy was not worried. Higgy was just sitting there being patient. Higgy's already chomped a huge amount out of that margin, actually. Gap at the line last time by was 1.1. He takes it down to 0.76. So he's taken a huge amount of time out of him on that most recent lap. And I can tell you that Mark Krinke is also taking massive chunks of time out of Max Schlosser. Schlosser's actually going to get the wall. I think he might have gotten the wall in that lap as well.
So Max Schlosser quickly losing pace back to the likes of Joshua Higgy just behind. The Red Dog Mustang is there and right at the party. Looking up high, can't get the run going. He's going to dial it back and try to settle the run down the front straightaway within 0.2 of a second and rapidly closing in down the pit straight, 10th and a half, but not close enough to make a look down at the turn number 1.
Yeah, Schlosser's in trouble, so he's eventually going to get picked off here. It's just a matter of when is the big key.
Oh!
Higgy, I think that was dirty air.
Yeah, caught the wall. He's been flirting with that for the last few laps, but he catches the wall, and that allows for Krinke to shoot through into second. That's bought Schlosser at least half a lap worth of breathing room, but that said, that is not much, because here comes Krinke charging for the bottom side, and he is not a driver that's made many of those mistakes all day long.
And this is getting spicy, and Mike Hamlin's up there in contention as well. Have a look at this. We've got a three-way stoush, and everyone's looking for the clean air. Cole's turned down so early to the corner, just trying to get some good air under the nose, and now he's going to push up in the mid-corner as well. So he's in the middle of these guys in terms of their aero. Schloss is covering it, and he is keeping the momentum up, but he's also punching the hole in the air.
And you see just how different the two lines that Krinke and Schlosser took in the middle of 1 and 2, where Schlosser was ripping the outside line. Now Krinke is going to have the inside as we work off of turn numbers 3 and 4. Back to the front. Schlosser hangs on for at least that lap, but he's going to be losing the lead down to the turn number 1.
Yeah, run down to the inside. You can see that this was coming.
And Austin Call trying to capitalize and make the move on the number 400 car, though wasn't quite able to get the nose in. So Schlosser's going to hang on just that little bit more for at least the second place spot. Well, now it's Krinke's turn to see if he can drive away from the pack here this afternoon. Krinke could potentially look here for back-to-back wins, and that would put him as the first repeat winner of Season 3 of this championship.
Well, huge opportunity. And the other thing is, have a look at Austin Cole, who's in there. Look at the track color as well, by the way. That track color, Schlosser gets the barrier once again. That track color continues to change. So the rubber's starting to get laid down. Cloud cover just came over the circuit as well. Massive amount of cloud cover. So the track is actually starting to cool off. Down here in 3 and 4, Sun pokes his nose back out again. Not quite as much rubber. So the definition and the evolution of the track at both ends is completely different. You're right. Schlosser getting his nose chopped off a lot by Mike Hamlin right there.
That wasn't even a job. That could have, I think he cut Hamlin a huge break by not rightly hooking him into the wall. Take a look. He gave him a massive shove coming down to the turn number 3. And watch as he starts to push up from the bottom here. And there, and that, boy, that could have been a real nasty incident.
Field's starting to say, I can't believe we're only 17 laps into this race with the amount of passing we've had 2-0. That's what I love about the 2-milers. You come to Michigan, you come to Auto Club, and there's a shitload. Did I just say that on air? I did.
Yeah, you
there's
did.
A lot of
Yes,
stuff
you did.
Yeah, I did. My mind's not in the right space, man. I've had a long week at work. I got home at like 2 a.m. the other night, so sincerely apologize to all the viewers. I've made a bigger. That's the first time I've ever done that, by the way. So
it won't be the last. I'm surprised I made the mistake before you did, to be fair.
But yeah, look, I mean, we've had so much passing already that, you know, it's been an interesting race. But it's also, have a look at the way that the tires are phasing. We had Schlosser punch out very hard very early. Now he's gotten tight, not loose, whereas we're expecting the cars to get loose. I think the track's evolving. If you actually go back and have a look at practice and qualifying, everyone was having a lot of problems with the cars being loose. The track's evolved. The cars are now tight, not loose.
And that evolution allows for some of the thrilling race that we've been seeing so far in this series. Like, how about this? 3 wide for a moment down the back straightaway. Paul Ellison decided to back out of that. But, you know, 3 wide, not something you see all that often once you get this deep into a run with a field of only 22 cars. But you're able to do it. And you still have all of these battle packs, right? We got a loose pack for the top 3. You got this bunch here for 4 through 6. Even further down the field, there's a few cars that are still bunched up in their own individual battles.
And you're going to continue to see this progress. Remember, I'm expecting them to pit sometime in the next 5 to 10 laps. So normally with a full tank, you can go about 40 to 45 laps, somewhere in that range. Fuel mileage here, 50% of that. So somewhere in the 20 to 25 laps, and we're right on that sort of range now. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a bunch of guys pit. Remember, Schlosser's going backwards in terms of tires. So have a look around and have a read of what everyone's doing. And there was a bunch of guys that were sitting back on their tires. Those guys will absolutely be double stinting. This might be Schlosser throwing a set of 4 tires at it.
Coming down to pit road, the first green flag pit stop of the afternoon, and he is quickly followed in by Alex Howland. Smoke up the tires on entry, but he's able to get it slowed down. Brody Gunter, way at the back of the field, is in as well. I'm a bit surprised that Gunter started this race from pit road. I'm not sure why. I will go through and look to see if he had any outlasting penalties. I don't see why it would have, though. But I will look to see why he started at the tail end, because that's just not something you expected to see from a guy like Gunter.
Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting one. So I did see from Brody, I think he actually dropped from the server.
Oh.
Which is why he was having a lot of internet issues.
Gotcha.
Particularly, what actually happened was they gave him the EOL right at the start of the race, and he was dropping from the server, and then he actually did finally drop out. So that's why he's multiple laps there.
That makes sense. So one of those voluntary EOLs to make sure he's not causing problems for the leading pack.
Critically, the reason to take a voluntary EOL like that is, number one, it keeps you in the race, and number two, buys you time to fix the issue if you can. If you try and race around a bunch of people, the risk level goes through the roof. So you'd rather have an opportunity to keep scoring points whilst also staying in the race is the big thing. A bunch of guys went for that extra lap of fuel. Joshua Rutherford was one of them. Actually, you know what? I think he might have been the only one that went for the extra lap on fuel. Casey Campbell, sorry, is the other who has gone for the extra. Casey Campbell's out of fuel. He missed pit lane.
Oh dear. So Campbell.
He's not making it. He's not got enough momentum to make it back either.
So Campbell going to be coasting down on the inside of the racetrack, trying to see how far he can limp the Speed Mafia car around. At this point, I would just tow, right? Because you're losing more time by not towing than if you were just put it on the tow truck and wait just a little bit longer. And he is finally going to be forced to a stop. By the way, Jared Williams, a really long stop in the box, and that is because, unfortunately for Williams, he had to reposition several times in pit road, and, well, it costed him big time. I think he had to make 2 or 3 readjustments there for the 24 entry before he finally found the mark, but it kind of went back to Brody Gunter. I think Gunter's also fine with taking that right because he's not in a critical position. He is more than safe. He can take the hit.
Another one with issues on pit lane, Corey Rutherford got a black flag, so that'll be speeding or unsafe exit. He's back on the pit lane as well to serve that one.
Corey Rutherford, like you say, into pit road. Matt Williamson has had a problem somewhere on the racetrack. For reasons unknown, he has taken the tow to pit road and got the penalty for exiting pit road, and oh boy, I'm not a fan on how he brought that car to a sharp stop right in front of another driver that was right behind him on pit exit. This is with Brian Bonneau.
Yeah, as soon as Matt Williamson got that, immediately was like, I'm out of this race. He immediately... Tommy Cook's also done for the day. So, a number of drivers that have now decided to...
Well, Cook never qualified.
Yeah.
Tommy Cook was not placed on the official roster for the race, so he got in just a little bit too late on that front. But so fans are going to keep, or drivers are going to keep themselves up and working right now. Bit of a scrap development. This is for 11th of Kenny Hoffman, Carson George, and Jake Erickson, the Racecraft Academy #1. Making his first ASRL Cup Series start of the season in the Dudek and Croak Racing #1.
Good opportunity for him. He's getting out there and getting amongst it and learning his lessons. And, well, the head down, working his way through. He started out of 15th spot. He's plus 3 thus far. Sits in 12th. And you know what? I think he took tyres on that stop. I think there's a bunch of tyres that took tyres on that stop. And George might have taken tyres. No, he took damage at the first stop. So he is on old rubber. And you should expect to see him fall back through in this pack.
So this is going to be the pit stop time here. This is for all the cars currently on the lead lap. And you can see Hamlin and Rutherford look to have taken 2 tires. Same with Fleming. Howland and Williams took 4. Everyone else is on fuel only. 2 tires is odd, right? You don't see it all that often, but I don't see how else you would spend 10.5 and 10.9 seconds in the box if you were only taking fuel only.
Fuel only and damage repairs. Damage repairs was the critical thing.
Right, okay, fair enough.
Remember how he came very, very early to pit lane? It was because he had damage and he was concerned about it. And he actually said something on the radio, I got damage from that one, I wonder how it's going to be, and came down pit lane. So the big thing that Carson probably didn't assess and add to that was the fact that he slid the tires quite a lot. So his pace differential can be covered off completely by a tiny amount of damage, a not insignificant amount of damage. So I was actually talking to the Australian NASCAR Championships were actually on last night. I was calling that, and also running Xfinity hardware. And I was talking to a bunch of the drivers after the race. They said these cars they used to be quite heavily affected by damage. In fact, they were any minor nudges, nicks, and scrapes used to give them huge amounts of damage. Recently, sometime in the last year, that went away, and we were all sitting there going, sweet, great, we can race a lot more door-to-door, bang panels again. That's actually come back, so the cars are a lot more brittle and fragile, and you will feel the effects of bad aero if you've got any damage on the car again. So that's why I get the feeling Carsten actually came to pit lane, because he felt the car was bad, but it was only minor.
Austin Call going for the lead around the outside of Mark Krinke. Trying to fend off the 313 now as he'll jump around the outside and trying to fend off that driver as Call will take the race lead. I'm a bit amazed that Austin Call has made up so much ground so quickly, right? Started all the way back in 21st and already up to the lead in the first quarter of this race, but not for lack of driver Mark Krinke. Both of these drivers have had some pretty successful outings to their season here in this one. But Call trying to become the 7th different winner in as many races in this season. While Krinke trying to become the first repeat winner.
Oh, just Cole just slide that up the banking.
Oh,
well, that's
boy.
the difficult part. We raced what? We raced Legacy Atlanta here not too long ago, and that banking transition up and out of 1 and 2 drives exactly the same as that banking transition right there. But watch as they get down another bump down here in 3 and 4.
On board with Call, he got a good drive, trying to go for the over-under. Does it go high, does it go low? He goes low. And that will allow for Cole to potentially sweep back through to the top spot. He's got to push up, though. Krinke's got the run up high. And Krinke hangs on for the lead off of turn 2 because Cole got wicked sideways.
How good is this battle, though? How good is this battle? Remember, these guys are trying to get these cars through to about mid-20s. And Austin just said, man, how hot are those tires right now? And Krinke just said, yeah, man, they're so hot, but how good's the racing?
Take a look at this again and look at the save Cole has coming off of 2. Look at how far sideways he kicks their tail end out on that bad boy. That is awesome.
But they're both driving the cars like that, right? So that's just good hard racing. Yeah, I mean, you know, this is the strength for these boys, that they can drive a loose race car. The problem is that you want to drive it so that it's a lot less loose. And when you get a car that's a naturally loose race car like this, what you're going to try and do is dive it deeper and straighter into the corners, heat up those front tires, scrub those front tires. What that will naturally do is it will take some of the loose tendencies out of it. The other thing that you can try and do is get all your turning done very early in the corner such that your exit is very straight. What these cars want to do, you stand on the throttle with a lot of wheel in them, they want to rotate when you do that, lift the rear up, not quite be settled on the power, shuffle about the rear end. That heats up, that wears those rear tires, which is the phase that Austin's going through right now. So what you're trying to do with your corner arcs is you'll turn down. So you've got two ways. You either dive it in very heavy, very straight, or you turn down very late and straighten up that exit as much as possible. Both will save that right rear tire.
So Dave Seats, Connor Dudek, both working side by side as they fire off of turn numbers 3 and 4. As while the battle for the lead might be dissipating, fights are still picking up elsewhere on the racetrack. The 50 tracking low to the inside of Seats. And not too far away, in fact, less than 10 laps away for our next run of green flag pit stops here. Looking like this is going to be about a 5-stop race here this afternoon. So pit stops quite frequent at a racetrack like this where the fuel usage is high.
Yeah, this is, I mean, critically, what leads to it being such a high fuel race is that not only are the straights longer, you have a lot higher fuel burn effectively because your straights are high. You're on the gas a lot more. So whenever you're on the gas a heck of a lot more, then you're going to be burning a lot more fuel. But additionally, look at the way that the corners are laid out. They're very, very wide and you can rotate left and right. So, you know, the higher lane is going to burn more fuel if you're at the bottom of the racetrack. Lower corner speeds, lower tire temperatures, by the way. Krinke just made an issue, I thought. I thought it just saw him lose a bunch of momentum. But, You actually burn different amounts of fuel regarding where you're running on the track. Sometimes you actually see drivers, even though the high line might be preferred, they'll move down the track later on in the stint just because they don't have the fuel to keep running in the high side. Great slide job, though.
Beautiful slide job, and one that Seats is able to capitalize on, however, as he dives back for the inside of turn 2. But Dudek saw it coming, backed off, got the run. Oh, Seats a bit sideways off of 4. Dudek will fight back to his inside. And they'll be neck and neck as once again we fight down the front straightaway back into turn number 1.
Great little battle between both of these guys. And again, look at the wide nature of the racetrack and the racing that it's providing for us. You know, it's really putting us in a strong position. Just keeping up an eye on the whoa!
Holy cow, a huge tank slap moment there for Dave Seats. Able to wrangle it underneath him, but that could have been a nasty impact into the inside wall if he didn't catch that.
Well, catch it he did.
And now that lets Croak and Williams start to go on the offensive. They've been slowly reeling in the 2 cars in front of them over the last several laps, and now Croak, well, as a result of that slide from Seats, he smells blood in the water.
Yeah, and you got to try and take the advantage when you get it in the wall too, so that's going to chop some momentum out of the 2 car for Croak. What are your thoughts on driver numbers that start with a leading 0?
Beg pardon?
Leading 0. I'm just looking at Matthew Croak and going 0-2. What are your thoughts on drivers that start their number with a 0? It's not something we see all that often.
I don't mind it. Allows it to be a bit more distinguished. As in, like, you can pick it out easy.
Yeah, well, I'm a data guy, and you know what leading 0s do?
They get at the top. Oh, yeah. I see.
So, I used to be a fan of it, and then I started working in data, and I'm a lot less of a fan of it, because that's something I then got to go and adjust in all my tables. I don't like it, man. All that extra work just because you want a 0 in front of your number. Give me a 3-digit number any day of the week. I'd prefer that.
See, it's actually the 3-digit numbers that throw me off more often than not when it comes to racing like this. Unless you're talking about like endurance racing where you got like 60-some cars on the racetrack. I actually like what some series do for endurance racing, right? What they'll actually do is they'll use the 3rd digits to designate class. So say you have 4 classes, 2-digit numbers, that's the top class, usually GTP. LMB2s, you could say, would be it could be the car with a 1 behind it. A 2 behind it would be for GT3. GT4 would be a 3 behind the number.
Well, normally we go the other way around. Normally it's like, say, GTPs are 2-digit numbers, LMP2s are 1XX for your number, and GT3s are 2XX for your car number as well. But that throws me back to my time racing motocross bikes. We used to go away to national titles, and back in those days, you used to have a state designation. So you had to add your state designation number to the front end of your number. So for me, being Australian, we've got 7 states out here. We can actually do that. We don't have 50 states. So that would obviously not work for the Americans, but it worked for us. So I'm from New South Wales. Our state designation was 1. My racing number was 15. So my race number for national titles became 115. First number, designated where I'm from, and then my racing number.
Austin Cole in the pit road. Matt Schlosser in just behind. So second run of green flag pit stops kicking off right on cue. Exactly 20 laps after they came down the first time.
And Joshua Higgie's going to be in this next lap as well. So he's been struggling on tyres. And it'll be interesting to see how well he goes this one. Krinke's got a 4-second lead over him. Krinke's going again. I reckon Krinke's going to get the 44.
You reckon?
I think he's capable of doing it. He went to the end of 21 on the first run, and he's double stinted tyres. So the big thing about double stinting tyres is they're already worn, so your fuel burn's lower. And don't forget, on that first run, we also had to do the formation and pacing lap and get to the green. So there was a little bit of extra fuel taken out of the tank. So I reckon he's capable of making 22 laps on this run. Does that help him over the course of a race? It actually prevents one stop, just.
In theory, it's doable.
But I'm looking for him to get to the end of 44, not the start, end of 43 coming to 44. So if he should be coming in this time if it's the end of 43, next time if he's getting to the end of 44. And that depends upon if he's fuel saving. Remember early on in this run, in the first run, he sat back in the pack? Remember how he saved tires and sort of sat back and then he came forward? I think that was him actually fuel saving on that first run, whereas this run he's been a lot less fuel saving. But again, we talked about it, less throttle. No, he's coming in this time, so he won't get to 40. He won't get to the end of 44. He will make the end of 43.
Still going the distance, though, going significantly longer, and that is going to put him on a pretty big tire advantage as well with this field. So this is still, I would say, not a bad decision from Krinke to come down to pit road, and come down to pit road he will. So Krinke is in. Everyone else just a little ways behind, like Dudek, Hoffman, and Howland. Also to pit road, and here comes Jarrett Williams, and here comes the accident as the seats goes from wall to the pit road.
So this is all the guys that have gone quite long. These guys have potential to be on the alternate strategy, but the problem is it won't play out until the final stint of the race. Realistically, we've got to go green that whole way. What it does allow, though, is it allows them to take advantage of a yellow. If there's a yellow at any stage in every stint, remember they're going to extend by an extra 2 laps. That window for a yellow to come out in the right time period keeps extending. So anything could happen. Oh, and by the way, all that cloud cover we've been seeing over the racetrack, track temps now dropped a whole bunch of degrees.
It was at 106 the last time we checked it. It was higher than that when this race started. It is now down to just 97. So track, all things considered, does actually about enter the optimal range for these cars. So that could really allow for the race here to come alive. And oh, Schlosser catches the wall getting around Carson George.
Yeah, so got to be pushing quite hard. And Schlosser's lost a lot of track position here, so he's going to try and get most of that back up. In fact, is he off the lead lap? I think he is. He's had issues. Oh no, there he is. My apologies. I was just about to say, is he off the lead? No, he's not. That's actually me. I didn't quite see him. There's a bunch of cars that, by the way, did actually make the end of 44, so they're in an even better spot on fuel. And this next run is probably going to be the critical one to the race strategy, because if you can make that extra stop get cut out, then you need to do it on this run right here.
Joshua Rutherford will be one of the last cars to come down to pit road that we were waiting on, that was still on the lead lap. So that will allow for Krinke to retake the lead of the race, now with significantly fresher tires that Austin caught behind. Cole is still able to track him down on the straights, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do much with Krinke having the 3-lap fresher tires, although I say that, he actually lost a 10th coming through 1 and 2 that time.
Yeah, Austin's going to be... Krinke might just be fuel saving here too. And Krinke probably won't be too worried about Austin Cole coming on by and leading a few laps, because that then brings his fuel window back in, a lot. The big thing from Cole is he's got to go out and he's got to go hard, and he's got to try and punch and get clear. He's got to try and force Krinke to burn more fuel, because if he can, all of a sudden he brings Krinke back to his strategy. He can fight him on his strategy. So yeah, but remember 4 sets of tires? They've already burned 2. They're on their second set, so they've got 2 more sets to go for the rest of the race. I think we've got a double stint this next set.
So far, a lot of drivers trying to utilize a good run. Jarrett Williams, 11.5 seconds in the box. 2 tires or damage, you reckon?
I reckon that's probably damage. I mean, it could be 2 tires. If it is 2 tires, he's made a mistake right there. But I'll go do some investigating and come back to you, Noel.
Well, we saw Aaron Raymond do this at Las Vegas Motor Speedway and nearly took a win as a result of the ASRL Truck Series. He took 2 right sides and then would alternate, right? 2 right sides, 2 left sides, and He pulled out a 10-second lead because of it, so he would have won that race if it hadn't been for a late race caution, so...
The problem is, it's just a big speedway, and you need, like, if you're going to take tires, you take 4. Yeah, for Gerald, I don't know. The difficult part is that he's going to make his right sides go a very, very long way. I do wonder whether or not he did take tires on that first run. If he has, he's only got 1 set of right side tires left. He'll have 2 lefts, and that's all well and dandy, but yeah, he'll be in quite a lot of trouble.
So lap 49 of 120 this afternoon. Approaching the halfway point, and so far the only battle on the racetrack within a quarter of a second is this one between Matthew Croak and Kenny Hoffman. Twin DK cars for this pairing here. SDK scoring them as 2 separate teams, but given the fact they're running the same car with the same team name on the side, I'm willing to bet those are for leagues elsewhere being run, as both run under the Croak Dudek color, or the Dudek Croak colors. For race 7 of that Auto Club.
This one's just going to be a little bit of a slow burner from here on out, because everyone's started to separate out too, Nolan, haven't they? There's not really a whole bunch of action going out on track, and the difficulty is with that temperature, man, the track temp's dropped another 3 Celsius, so that's going to be about, what, 6, 7 Fahrenheit, so I can't believe, look at the track temp swing.
It's well over 107. It has dropped about 14, 15 degrees Fahrenheit just since we last checked it about 20 laps ago. So that's not even counting everything from the start of the race. So like you say, it's been dropping massively.
Well, it would have been up around 110 at the start of the race as well. So yeah, it's taking a little bit of a swing. You know what? Take a little bit of a step away. I need more coffee, Nolan. I need more pep in my step. What do you need? Time for an ad read?
I think
more poetry in your dietary?
You know what? I think we could do with a little bit more rhymes, like we're some sort of poetry buffs here on Greenflight TV. So while Scott's out getting his coffee, we'll be able to give a thanks again to the folks that helped keep the lights on here for the ASRL Xfinity Series here on Sunday nights. Want to race open, but not sure if your setup is up to snuff? Want to race something made by someone who knows their stuff? Well, check out TWRsetups.com. Their setups are meticulously crafted and personally run by their top-tier drivers and in all official ASRL races to ensure that you get the best there is. So don't delay. Join the wild side of setup shops today. Well, we got ourselves working lap 53 and less than 10 laps away from the halfway point, at which point stages will be given out to the top 10 drivers in this race. And a big battle started to develop for 7th, 8th, and 9th with Connor Dudek, Jared Williams, and Joshua Rutherford all under a blanket as we fire our way down into turn numbers 1 and 2. Rutherford tracking up from the inside. Connor Dudek maintaining his strong move up top. Williams just behind gives up a spot to Casey Campbell. Well, the 50 and the 64 remains side by side. Down the backstretch, deep into turn 3 goes the Bullet Beers Productions number 64. Had an issue on pit road earlier on, missed his pit stall. He has since been on the recovery drive. He is down 3 from where he started. Oh, Casey Campbell captured the outside wall. And while all that's going on, Joshua Hickey started to shove Austin Cole to try and push him back up to Mark Krinke.
Yeah, so again, he I think was with the first of this group to actually jump to the pit lane, so he obviously went quite hard with his pit strategy. But then when he came out, he didn't push the tire. One of the biggest things, I was talking to some high-level racers and just sort of adjusting my thinking on the tire model. I mean, we were talking about next gens at the time, but it sort of adjusted my thinking. I mean, it's something I've naturally always done as a driver. But the way that they were talking is that the first 10 laps on a tire are the most critical. When you move to the bigger speedways, that becomes the first 5 to 8 laps, basically. You cut a couple laps off that. Any damage you do in terms of heating the tires and overpressuring on that point, sort of, it hits you harder. The main reason for that is that the temperatures get up quicker. So what actually happens is if you're pressing that tire quite hard in the first sort of 2 to 3 laps looking for a little bit of track position, all of a sudden you might have an extra 10 degrees in your tire earlier, which means that the degradation phase of the tire kicks in earlier and kicks in harder. So you can actually do a lot more damage to the tire early on. Higgy on this stint sat it back and watched the tire, and now it's coming his way.
And they are side by side now as we go through 1 and 2, working to the back straightaway as Austin Cole will take that spot away up high. Joshua Higgy maintains his run down on the low side. So it's Red Dog versus Skittles this afternoon. The Cole tracking up to the outside, trying to hold Higgy down a little bit, but not able to realistically keep him at bay. They've been side by side, about a complete lockstep for the last 2-3 laps now. And that really does go to show just how multi-groove this racetrack is and how awesome it is for the side-by-side racing. It is. It could work, though. Clear? Not quite.
Clear. Not clear. Still not clear. Still did. Oh, he got so close. You know, there was a foot, less than a foot left from clearing him right there. And now they're back even. No, he got him. He got him. He got it.
Just barely, though, but Cole's still going to be able to get him back down the front stretch of the drive. Look at the over-under, the big crossover down the front straightaway, and now 3 laps to go in the opening stage.
And the big thing is, did he clear him? Yes, he did, because if he can stay on Austin Cole's outside, he can beat him on momentum down the back straightaway. Krinke's got this covered. Krinke does not want to see anything happening. He just wants to see a nice casual run at the end. These cars are so tight at the moment, Nolan. I just listened to Joshua Higgy. Normally, when you're railing the fence, you want to keep a little bit of throttle in it. He couldn't. If he touched the throttle, he was going into the fence.
You can hear the tires slipping a little bit on the asphalt, as well as he tries to keep the front nose planted on that car. I've seen sometimes where some drivers will deliberately put the clutch in just to help try to rotate the car a little bit, or with the kick that you can get when you release it. Might be seeing some people started to do that before too long, but Schlosser and Hamlin side by side, as well as Ellison, and we got about a lap and a half to go in stage 1.
I'll tell you what, Higgy, since getting to Austin Cole's inside and trying to dive it, he put a lot of heat in the front tires trying to make that work. He's fallen off a long way since that point in time. But yeah, you're right. Stage is going to come to the end at the end of lap 60, which will be next time by. We've got some points awarded. Paul Ellison's in the recovery effort. He's sponsoring today's race. It's always good to hear Paul. He loves this place, Nolan. He really, really does. He puts a lot of work into trying to keep the lights on and looking after people. So big shout out to Paul. Great supporter of the league.
Has dubbed this race the Bulldozed 120 this afternoon, but shockingly, we have not seen anybody being bulldozed as of yet, but we're about to see our first points being awarded of the night, or first guaranteed points at least. As Mark Krinke gonna work himself off of turn number 4. Krinke will take the stage here as we cross over on lap 61. Cole will pick up the number 2 spot with Higgy carrying up 3rd. Mike Hamlin will pick up the 4th place position with Paul Ellison and Matt Schlosser for 5th and 6th. That will leave Joshua Rutherford long way back, coming off of turn number 4. He will be in the number 7 spot, and then should be Dudek and Williams, with the only question as to be who will take up 10th. Looking like that one will go the way of Matthew Croak, with his teammate Kenny Hoffman just a quarter second off on getting stage points this afternoon.
Yeah, good race for the stage. And an interesting one as well. And a little bit of discussion on the in-race radio that no one's cars are liking getting to the bottom of the racetrack anymore. So she's driving not the best. The teammates, though, having a little bit of fun. Side by side. Here comes the pit stops.
May as well, right? You got nobody around you. May as well have a little bit of fun on the racetrack. You're here to race, after all, so why not? Go out and race. So Schlosser, the first driver to come down for our 3rd pit stop window of the afternoon. And, ooh, Dudek really flirted. Sorry, that was Croak. Really flirting up with the outside wall there. Bold one. So Croak gonna remain in lockstep further behind Carson George. Makes a move on Alex Howland, and here comes Call and Higgy into pit road.
So you can very much tell which drivers are trying to do what now. So Austin Cole's, at this point of the race, there is no point trying to extend this stint. You run in 20 laps, you come in. And the reason for that is there's just no reason, right? You're out there, you're circulating, you may as well get in, you may as well top the thing up, don't take any risks on the strategy. And the strategies aren't that divergent, and with the nature of the race, yellows, they're just not going to come. So you can pit now with a lot of safety and security. The big factor on this run is how long do these guys who are on that fuel save strategy run? We're now past the halfway mark, so you just got to look to extend it. In actual fact, I've done my son's run, by the way, Nolan. We're 10 laps shy of actually getting that extra stop chopped out, so everyone's going to be on the same amount of pit stops here today. There's just not enough difference in the fuel tanks.
Not enough this time around, but it doesn't mean we're not going to be able to get that further on to the race. There is Paul Ellison just now leaving pit road. As we wait for the rest of the front runners to come down, here is Connor Dudek. Kenny Hoffman in as well. Now, when does Mark Krinke come in? He will stay out for at least one more.
And if you're not taking tires, you're happy to run long here. You also know that you're going to have fresher tires at the back of the race. So we talk about this probably just about every week, but I think it is so critical. If a yellow was to come out right now, everyone's on the same tire strategy. But after this pit stop is where the strategy started to diverge. Some drivers will be looking to take their third set of tires. That'll leave them with one set of tires left. If an awkwardly timed caution comes at the back end of the race, they're a little bit off sequence, they can't do a whole bunch with it. But for the drivers who opt to run to have perhaps the next pit stop, they've got themselves a little bit in the window. That'll be speeding the lane for Alex Howland.
Bit of a wild entry there for Howland here as...
You know what? He got away with it.
I thought it was going to be more unsafe pit entry because he comes in a little bit hot, gets into the grass, and he does nick that yellow cone. I am surprised that he got away with that.
The fans liked it, and that's why NASCAR didn't penalize it.
Said no one ever. Said literally no one ever. Said NASCAR never.
You know what? This race is getting boring. It's time for one of them Debris cautions. I think I see Denny Hamlin flag in the stands. That's Debris right there.
Okay. It's in the stands, though. It's not on the racetrack.
No Denny Hamlin flags allowed. I'm sorry.
We do have hazard flags now. You know, the yellow and red stripe flags. I don't know if they exist on ovals, but we have them.
Well, they can. They can actually. I have seen them pop up on the ovals. They do exist and they can, but yeah, it requires a specific set of circumstances. You got to get enough grass out onto the racetrack for it to trigger, and that's not easy. A couple places, Old Atlanta is certainly one with the quad oval. Texas, Vegas, those sorts of places with those narrow front straightaways. And of course, Charlotte doesn't count. Why? It's AstroTurf. You can't flip. It's painted cement.
Trouble.
Back up oh!
Well, you almost got it there as Casey Campbell finds himself sideways coming off of pit road.
That wasn't coming off of pit road.
What was that? What is...
Something just happened off the goal.
No, it was coming off of pit road. Oh, little too throttle happy, and that'll be a race ender.
Austin Cole just had the bejesus spooked out of him.
Do tell.
So he was the next car along. So we caught that shot out of Casey Campbell as he went down through 1 and 2. But as he sort of just after that, as he rejoins, Casey sort of, as he's trying to find his way back onto the pit lane exit, he sort of jerks back up onto the track, and Austin, you'll have to stay with this shot for a fair while to see it, but Austin sort of come down in it. He's turning in, and he's trying to get to the bottom of the racetrack, and you'll see it. That Casey down there?
Yep, he's there. Although
Yeah, watch this. Watch this.
Whoa! Oh my good word! Whoo boy! That's a double whammy for Casey on that.
So yeah, Casey's absolutely had to come back to pit lane to serve the unsafe pit lane exit.
You know, I can't imagine why. That almost looked like he kind of caught some air. Maybe hit one of the bumps on the road course transition.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's shot him hard riding here. You ever driven the road course here? Have you ever actually seen any racing on the road courses here?
I have seen no actual real-world racing on the road course. I've hot-lapped the Auto Club road course a couple times in various cars. I know the Auto Club road course was used to film Ford versus Ferrari, where it cosplayed as Daytona the National Speedway with their sports car circuit. And you want to know something interesting about that fact? I actually know a lot about the different turn-ins for that infield section. They weren't even using the car road course. They were using the motorcycle layout of the road course.
Well, it's because it represents the old data. So that actually makes a lot of sense with their choices for filming locations.
Yeah.
Older style course. A lot of that older style barriers and setups around the track. So it actually fits thematically as
I will say
the job done.
I will say the blue painted walls though was a dead giveaway. And the fact that Daytona has never had such a sweeping tri-oval in its history. So those two things kind of give it away, but you know, credit they tried. They did try.
But thematically, it fit. Like the background, everything. Yeah, it was a great little thing. But yeah, the road course, they must have a huge supply of cones at this racetrack because there was so many cones on that road course.
Imagine how many times. Oh, Schlosser nearly catch the outside wall, but you know the road course here is honestly not terrible. A lot of hybrids kind of get, you know, there's a little bit of crap thrown at them, and I will admit the third sector, not great, but you know the opening segments, at least on the car section of it, it's not terrible. It is honestly, it's the place I would much like to see a race at. Right after Homestead and Daytona. Maybe Charlotte as well. Charlotte, I guess, you could throw it in as well. So, yeah, it's the first one outside of, like, those big three.
I would just like to point out that the current road course track record holder in the NASCAR truck for all three of the Auto Club road courses, he's in the commentary booth.
Well, there you go. you checked that right now, did you?
No, so I was doing something fun a while back. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Garage 61.
I do.
Yeah, so for those of you watching along at home, what Garage 61 is first and foremost, it's a really good way for teammates to share setups. So if you're doing a lot of endurance racing and you want to share a slight tweak to a setup, you just post it in the folder assigned to your teammate. It sends it to everyone that's also running Garage 61s on your team. So it's really, really good for that sort of stuff. What it also does is it tracks lap records, but it doesn't just track them amongst you and your friends that are on a team on Garage 61. You can also go for global lap records. I wanted to, I was fiddling around and I noticed that in the NASCAR truck page, I actually had a couple of oval global lap records. And I was like, okay, well, I'm sitting 5th on the list. What have I got to do to get my way all the way up to number 1? So I went and did a whole bunch of the obscure road courses that nobody ever runs. And you start at A, because you always start at A, and I ran in the Auto Club road courses to get myself some records. For a couple of weeks there, I had the most NASCAR truck lap records on Garage 61. But, you know, it's just fun things that you do when you're bored on the sim, right?
It's one of those things where you just gotta wonder, right? Like, what is this actually like?
Wacky, and I came up with a setup for it. It was great. The biggest thing you're constantly tinkering with, you get a road course setup, or you get a generic road course setup that's actually not too bad. Normally you go for a little bit of a custom set. You generally don't go too close to the fixed sets, and then you just adjust the gear ratios. So a Daytona road course setup, generally a really, really good way to start. And then you just adjust the gear ratios, because the road course has got a couple switchbacks. If you're looking for something a little bit more bumpy or handles fast and flowing a little bit better, you go for a Watkins Glen setup. Again, it's just gear ratios. So, but yeah, that was fun. And I just looked it up. I still sit 3rd on the leaderboards for lap records in the NASCAR trucks. But there you go.
Well, racing action continues on with no end in sight. We got 45 laps to go. We have been green flag racing since that one. We'll be back in a moment on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. Green Flag stops underway. Joshua Rutherford and Austin Cole are both into the pits and have just left. Corey Rutherford had a moment just as we were going to break. This is off of turn 4. Dave Seats caught the wall, slid into the 5, and sent Corey scrambling into the infield grass. Great job to save it, and so far, we remain caution-free.
Yeah, race starting to come towards its conclusion. We'll have one more pit stop after this cycle. Who's got tires will be a big thing. So we know that Matt Schlosser has burned a set, and he's actually driven all the way up to Crinkett. But the problem is, his tires are starting to fall off.
And he's going to be in the pits for longer. Well, he won't be in the pits for longer because he's going to be able to get out in front because obviously he's going to be on fresh tires. But Kringa is going to be able to get around him pretty darn quickly here on 4 Freshies.
I'm really impressed with Krinke because as we're actually going to see Schlosser dive to the lane. Boy, that did not look like a controlled. That looked like an oh man. kind of braking moment on the way into the pits right there.
Well, when you know you're kind of on the back foot in terms of tires, you got to take whatever advantages you can get, and pit entry can be a huge one.
Yep, I mean, he's going to push it. Right, he's absolutely going to push it.
Andy Krogh having a bit of a scare there. It's a bit of a wild one for Krogh, right on board with the Kenny Hoffman Racing driver. Ooh, boy.
Banking transition. Hold tires, banking transition. Have a look at them running down pit lane, though. How would you like being Crink, being in the lead and being boxed in a little bit on pit lane by a lap car? That's a unique situation.
One you got to deal with, though, when you have these races that go long, right? And imagine how the lead lap cars in real NASCAR races, where you got like 30 to 40 of these cars coming down to pit lane constantly. It's just one of those facts of life. So 4 tires for Krinke. He is off and away. Matt Schlosser ripping around the high side. He should be able to pick off the 313, and he'll do so with room to spare. But Krinke is going to be running him down pretty quickly here now that he's got the 4 fresh tires. And I'm reckoning Schlosser is going to be in pit road before our final pit stop window. He's going to be out of the lead for the next pit stop window.
Yeah, the margin's only 2 seconds or something, so he's going to lead. Well, he may not even lead, depending upon when everyone else comes to pit lane, but, yeah. We just got to keep an eye on this. We're just watching Austin Cole. He's just taken a set of tires, so I think he's got 1 set left.
Carson George and Connor Dudek, meanwhile, they'll go side by side as Dudek picks off George. That is fresh tires on old tires. Hamlin leads, and the sun coming back out. Temp dropped all the way down to 90 degrees, a new low for the race. Almost 20 degrees Fahrenheit lower than when we started.
Yeah, it's really dropping off now. That cloud cover's continuing. And just tell you, Austin Cole's just driven his way back up to 5th. He's now under 3 seconds off Krinke, but he's got a lot of work to do. 3 seconds is a lot. You can do it over 2 stints, but you really got to drive it hard to do that, and I don't know that the tires are necessarily going to hang on. And I'm really, really happy with the way Krinke is driving. He's just found something of late and switched on. This is far and away the best he's looked since we've seen him.
Oh, for sure. Cole has been putting on a fantastic race so far, but I think, if I'm being honest, I think Krinke just put together a better one today. I mean, Krinke has been mistake-free all night long. The only real problem he's had was being boxed in by that lap car coming down the pit road. Otherwise, he's driven a pretty picture-perfect race. A few battles to the lead here and there, but that's to be expected at a big track like this, and I see nothing for that car to complain about.
Well, heading into the final run, like, you can split this one down the middle. In actual fact, I probably would. A lot of these guys, so Austin Cole pit at the end of lap 79, start of lap 80, so he's going to come 100% at probably the end of lap 99. Start of 100. But for Krinke, he pit a lot later. He pit at the end of lap 83. So, you know, he can look to split this one in the middle. The latest I'd be looking to come for him is the end of 102. There's no reason to extend effectively, because we're just not going to get that yellow.
Mike Hamlin is into pit road, which allows for Schlosser to pull around the outside and retake the lead of the race. Krinke in tow by about 2.5 seconds. We will have 10 cars left on the lead lap after this one, and that action might end up only being 9 as Croak, he might be able to get out there before Schloss can make his way around. It'd be close, though. But not a lot of cars left on the lead lap here. And in fact, we are going to go down to just 9 up there as Gerald Williams will lose a lap out of the pits. And with coming up to 30 laps to go, time is slipping away.
Certainly is. Been a long day. Long day on the seat, though. Remember, we've been racing now for just over an hour. And we've still got 30 laps to go. We're actually going to... Well, okay. I say this next statement, understanding the risks and accepting the blame that's going to come my way if something should happen. And we've run green the whole way. We're at an hour and 6 minutes into this race, and we're on track. We're going to be done before an hour and a half, by the way. So this is a really, really good time. So should cautions come from here, even if we go cautions back to back to back to back, we will get the entirety of this race in inside the 2-hour window that's been assigned to us. So not worried about timings whatsoever. But yeah, Paul Ellison's run an interesting race. I think he was probably a touch too conservative in the early going. He certainly got long run pace. The biggest issue for Paul is that it just takes him so long to show that. And the other issue that he had was getting a little bit of track position. When he finally did have the pace to go out there and bypass somebody, he's found it so difficult to get the job done.
It's a difficult track, right? It's not an easy one to get the job done at. This is one of those places. It's easy to drive. Very difficult to actually be quick here, though.
It's super speedway racing it's super speedway racing with extra little bits and pieces to it. The big part about that is that it's all about momentum. So see what Paul's doing here is he's willingly giving up the bottom. Because when you're defending, you want momentum. Unless somebody is going to clear you on the mid-corner, you want the momentum. And you don't get the momentum from that shorter way around the racetrack. And to be perfectly honest, Hamlin's actually doing a great job to stay even with him down the front straight. He's going to get the job done here for sure. That's clear.
Absolutely he will, as Hamlin tracks up from the inside of Paul Ellison. And that will settle one of the only battles left on the racetrack. It's a busy week, in fact, a busy month coming on up. 30 shows in 30 days about to commence on Green Flag TV as we roll into April. The last race of March will be tomorrow night with twin Daytona duels for the High Tide Racing League Guardian Premier Series, ready to kick off their 4th season of competition. ASRL swings in Kentucky on Tuesday night. And a new league is being welcomed into the fold on Green Flag TV. Evan Basoko and Derek Watson will bring you all the action from the PSR Sim Game and Expo Truck Series for the Goodyear Tire of Fort Wayne 215 at Talladega Super Speedway, coming on up on Wednesday afternoon at 8:25 p.m. Eastern Time. And the big show coming on up this week is going to be, I think, twin showings, right? You got one championship that's ready to potentially meet its close, as we'll see if Justin Andisogak can take the championship in his rookie debut for the Dega Boys 200 at Talladega for the SRA IL Truck Series on Saturday. And then, the day after, the Classic IndyCar Series swings out to Mobility Resort Motegi for more racing action. That'll be at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Just about 3 hours before racing action picks off again for ASRL next week. So a lot of excitement coming on up on Green Flag TV.
We've always got a packed on schedule. I'm pretty keen to get involved in an extra series for you this week. My commentary reviews are going up. Yeah, Speed Cup Series, brother.
Oh, yes, of course. You joined the fold for the Speed Cup Series, don't you? Great series, honestly. A fantastic race that they've been having. We don't talk about what happened at Milwaukee.
We don't mention Milwaukee.
It was a journey. Let's put it that way.
Well, the other thing I was going to say is I was actually really excited to see this Beer League transition over using the Legends 34 coupes. I was incredibly disappointed to hear them say they weren't going to run rain races, though, as Ellison gets the job done on Williams. Josh Rutherford. Other Rutherford. The debate will always be on about who the better looking Rutherford is, but the one that's better looking out on track at the moment and season thus far is in the blue and black 64.
How much do championship points factor into that number?
Well, I mean, race wins will. I mean, it doesn't matter. You gotta remember, Josh has got that race win, so Corey's got to pull something out of the hat. He's got work to do. He can't be beaten. There is no more motivating factor than getting beaten by your brother to a win.
Right now, the two Rutherfords run on different laps to one another, and we are, I think, just now entering the range where if you pit, you will be good to go the distance.
You're a touch shy, but certainly in the next 2 laps you'll hit that wall. As Jarrell's going to hit the wall. Have a look at that sky. How good is the new lighting update, Nolan? That's mountains, sorry, my apologies. I thought it was sky. It looked like it, okay?
You are the only one I know that has mistaken mountains for sky. One is blue, the other is green.
Well, it looked gray. You leave me alone. I'm colorblind, okay? I'm red-green colorblind.
There's a very clear line there. Look at the onboard here. I mean,
yeah,
I don't
that
know.
Shot was just... I'm done.
I don't know what. I don't see it.
It's not a good Monday for me. We've sworn on air. We've now called Mountain Sky.
No, not we. You have. Don't loop me into your mistake.
It's been a long 120. Well, we're not even there yet. We're not even at 100. Man, it's gonna be a long week. It's gonna be a long. I gotta work with you again in the tail end of the week. You're not gonna let me get away with this Monday, are you?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm not. Talk about long waits. I've been waiting like months for a drag race season to get started up here. I can't wait for that. Mark Krenke finally has caught Max Schlosser, and he's going to look for the lead. Gets to the inside, and Krenke sweeps through, and he is right back to the point. Interestingly enough, Krenke and Schlosser both took 4 tires again on that last pit stop run. Boy, Schlosser pinched him in. We got to fight for the lead on our hands here.
Giving up. Yeah, I expected this to be over and done with very, very quickly, and Schlosser's going... No. And you know what? Austin Cole will be looking at this and going, please keep fighting. Please keep fighting. So... He's got it back, too. I didn't expect Schlosser to hang on this long.
Schlosser to the inside of 3. Krenke looking up high. Schlosser's going to clear, but Krenke, you know what he's going to do, right? He's going for the over-under. That, or he's just going to power around the top shelf and try to take the lead away again.
He's not even powering around the top shelf. He's got no run, no momentum. Oh, and by the way, Austin Cole's seen all this happening. He's going to dive into the lane because he also caught a bunch of traffic, a bunch of lap traffic at that. He was having issues with the traffic. So he's going to dive out of that traffic. So these guys probably won't even know that Austin's just pit. Got him, finally, clear on the top.
Not quite, still.
Not quite.
Now he's got him.
Now he's got him, yeah.
Tell you what, that was a hard-fought fight. I know we knew that Schloss was going to lose that lead eventually, but credit to him, he didn't give it up without fighting for it.
That's 20 laps difference on those tires, too. Actually, you know what?
Nope,
I think they might be
it
the
is
same
not.
tires.
1 lap difference, yeah. Because they both pitted for tires.
Well, that would be Schlosser's last set of tires, and Krenke, I think, should have 1 set left. No, that would be... It might have 1 set left, actually. I think Krenke actually might have 1 set left, so...
And here come the pitters as Higgy, Joshua Rutherford, Carson George, both into the lane this time.
It's actually really interesting to know that when we run races that are on 50% fuel distance as well, and you got a double stint set of tires, that's actually single stinting a full tank worth of tires. But the fuel balance actually makes it a lot easier to drive. So this changes up the strategy just a little bit. But yeah, I actually prefer these guys to extend the fuel runs out a little bit, maybe extend it out to maybe 60. I'd be looking minimum of 65 to 75, 80%. Just because the cars balance and drive a lot better at that level. You know, they're a lot looser and freer, and you're not just, the whole race isn't just governed by looking after your front right tire. And you know, Austin Cole actually had a set of tires left over, so he's going to burn them.
How about that? No stress for Cole. And Schlosser, the first one to bail to pit road. He will leave Mark Krimke to start to drive away as we got less than 20 laps to go. Whoa! Oh boy! Well, Joshua Hickey decided to make this race interesting.
He also had one for the tires left over, so he's taken them. Austin just took 1.2 seconds out of Mark Krimke, so if he goes 2 more laps, they're actually going to be very neck and neck on pace. So, and this is Hickey on fresh tires.
Coming around 3 and 4, gets checked up by George and Howland, cuts down low, and oh boy, quite a save.
Krimke's into the lane.
Just as Schlosser is on his way out.
And like I said, I'm pretty sure Schlosser did not have one set of tires left, but Krimke and Cole both did. So you're going to see Schlosser come out with a massive lead on them, but he's going to hold that off to the end of the race on 20 lap older tires.
And these are the last stops on the day as well, so these will be the last chances drivers have to get any kind of strategy call going to this point. If you've made a strategy, you are more than late with it. By the way, Krimke down by several seconds out of pit road because Matt Schlosser did not take tires. Again, we talked about this, right? He was forced.
Oh, got him.
He was forced to.
No, he didn't. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah, I was just. Yeah, well, Matt Schlosser's out by about 4.5 seconds right now, but that's because Krimke had to spend an extra, 6-7 seconds in the box taking tires. Yep. Matt Schlosser didn't have to.
Yeah. And Krimke, with all that extra work to go wrong very early on in the race, has swung back in his favor as well. He's 4 seconds off the lead of Matt Schlosser, but he's going to be over a second lap faster.
Ericsson in as well. And I believe that will just leave Matthew Croak. And then cars that are laps down that have yet to come down to pit road. Look at Mike Hamlin here, trying to cut through the middle of all of this lap traffic on fresh rubber.
You see the difference in Alex Hamlin's pace as well. He's got a touch of damage to that right front corner. How much that's compromising him.
And in fact, that was past her 5th there that Hamlin just made around the O2. And that will be the signal for the DK number 02 to come down to pit road this time by. So Matthew Croak is in.
Yeah, that was important to get himself out of traffic as well. Very, very critical. The margin that they're actually taking out of Matt Schlosser is 1.2 seconds a lap, by the way. So they're actually taking a lot out of him. Margin's already down to 1.4 seconds from Krimke to Schlosser. So this next time by, you're going to see that lead change, I would say.
One second. Krimke continuing to close. Trying to take back-to-back wins and be the first driver to take a repeat win in this 3rd season of competition on Sunday night for the American Sim Racing League. Looking for the outside. Should make quick progress here.
Yeah, there he goes. And you can just see Schlosser's not up and on the boards. I thought he was going in there. I honest to God thought he was going to hit the fence then. That's a great job to keep it out.
On board. And
you just see,
oh boy.
Gets away from him very early in the corner. And then the true characteristic of Auto Club is that you've got so much room to save it that you just walk, and you literally walk the car up the track. Did you see what he was doing with the steering wheel and basically the attitude of the car? He got a touch loose, and he sort of caught it, and then it got loose again, and then caught it, loose again, and caught it. And you can just balance and dance the car. I call it walking it to the wall.
Brian Bono and Carson George are in one of the only other battles on the racetrack right now, as Bono just made the move. And you've also got Dave Seats about to be under fire, and there goes Corey Rutherford down the outside as Seats just came out of pit road, and that looks set to close out what little battles we had on the racetrack, and that will leave us with 10 laps to go.
That's actually quite a good. It should be noted for Corey Rutherford, that's actually a really, really good drive from him, because you got to remember he went down a lap early on when he had to come back to pit lane with an unsafe pit lane exit. So he's actually done a phenomenal job. He's been a lap down since the first pit stop. He's not gone 2 laps down yet. He might by the end of this run, but it's taken him that long to lose more. And Corey's not had a great day. He's been off sequence. He's been off strategy. So yeah, this is when you look at the total sum of the day for him. You eliminate that. He'd actually be at the back end of the lead lap here. He'd be inside the top 10. He would be sitting 8th on the race. I think he'd actually be ahead of Dudek.
It's wild what one little mistake can mean for a race, isn't it? And in fact, he is going to be coming to pit road for his last stop.
No, never mind. That takes that away. I was just talking great about him. Now he's doing a lovely job with the pit stop.
You just cannot catch a break tonight.
God, race car drivers, man. What is wrong with them? I'm trying to put up a story, trying to talk good words about someone, and he's like, no, man, you're wrong. You're right. Let me just give up commentating.
Oh, Thursday's going to be a thrill.
Someone get my agent on the phone. I need an agent. Can someone get me an agent? I can't work with this, man. I can't work with these guys making me look like an ass. Love you, Corey.
Austin Call took away the number 2 spot from Matt Schlosser. This was the pass coming off of turn number 2. Pretty easy, just like Cricket did in 4. Around the outside, and that is that. Caution-free race, looking like it's going to be the call unless something big happens in the next 7 laps.
Austin Cole just trying to throw him the bait. he just said to Mark Cricket in sim, hey, I think I see a loose wheel in your car. You should probably pit for that. I don't think the lug nuts are tight. Get back down there and pick that.
Did Krinke respond is the question.
No response, but he gets points for trying. That's an A for effort.
Mark is not amused. He is not impressed with that game.
That's one of my favorite moments of a race. I'm not gonna lie. That's great. That's really, really good banter. But that's also respect from the 2 guys. Like Austin gets it. He's been outdriven today, and he understands that, and he's comfortable. The big thing when you look at Austin and where he's sitting on the racetrack, he knows he's getting second. He's dealing with Kenny Hoffman at the moment. He's on fresher tires. He's going to try and get back past him, and indeed, I think he will. We'll see. But he hasn't. The big thing for Austin is he hasn't driven his race car in a manner to try and win the race when he knows that he's probably he's second best out there. He's driven the car to give him every possible chance to stay in the race and be in the right place at the right time should something fall his way, but he hasn't overdriven himself. And that's the big difference. When you look at a bunch of these guys early on in the race, diving, being really, really aggressive, they're driving their race cars above their ability level, and you might sit there and say, well, that's car racing, that's exactly how that goes on, but yeah, that's ineffective car racing. You're far less likely to get the result out of the car that's possible and get a little bit of luck and improve yourself if you're driving above your ability and talent level. And I think whilst it is only a second, you'll probably be a little bit disappointed with that. It's a good outcome for us to call.
The driver, the number 7 here of Joshua Higgy, actually able to pick off Matt Schlosser for 3rd as well. So Schlosser's been bumped out of the podium positions. So where Schlosser is just going to miss out on the top 3. Bit of a shame starting at 2nd. I know he was looking forward to it, but you can't be mad at Austin Call, right? When he drove his way up from 21st on the grid all the way up to 2nd.
Yeah, he's done a great job. I mean, other side of the coin is little bit of difference in qualifying, and remember he slid the tires once or twice as well. So he's actually had a race whereby he's been in a tough situation and he had to go and catch the car, save it, arrest it. He's done a great job to do so. But you know, he's going to lock it down. He's a great spot. Schloss has fallen from the podium as well. Joshua he's managed to drive a pretty consistent race to pick up third place again. Another driver, best of the rest, never really had pace, but he's made sure that he's been consistent. He's not been out and out quick, but he's been great on the long run of the tires, and that's enabled him to do this. And the longer the race goes, the more these sorts of drivers. This is why you see drivers that are very consistent in terms of their points finishes, is because they're always targeting the end of the race and they're driving to that. You go out there, you get in over your head, and you go car racing on lap 5. Well, the difficult part is you're going to pick up little bits and pieces of damage. You're going to have a slide. You're going to find yourself losing spots. Sit back a little bit on the tire, conserve your tire, and just read the pack around you. You pick off spots very quickly.
Well, you know as well, it's that consistency that wins championships. That's why Joshua Hickey is in the points lead right now. It's why he won the Season 1 championship, right? And he was very, very consistent in Season 2 as well. But Brody Gunter was just more consistent than he was, which is what allowed for Hickey to get that Season 1 championship and still have a good finish in Season 2 as well.
Yeah, so, but, you know, he's finding a resurgence of form, and Brody Gunter's had a slide, obviously, and issues for him here tonight. So I do wonder whether or not there's a weather event for Gunter that's taken him down the order.
Well,
but, yeah, here we come. We're going to get that white flag.
Mark Krinke working for the final time, second to last time around turn numbers 3 and 4. He'll pick up the white flag. Dave Seitz will get the run from Matthew Croak, and there is your 3:13 start of this final trip around.
And a great opportunity for him. This is really a celebratory lap. He's got this one comfortably in hand by 8 seconds. So he's just going to get out there and enjoy one final lap. An Auto Club Fontana, a racetrack that's been knocked down. This is it from the real world.
It's a track that is still adored by many in sim, and for darn good reason, as Krinke will work himself into turn numbers 3 and 4. And the streak of unique winners will be broken, as for the second week in a row, Krinke to victory lane. And as well as this, the first repeat winner of ASRL's third Sunday Night Cup Series.
And it took 7 races to check that off. I can't believe that. We're having so much fun with these guys in the series.
It really speaks to the level of competition, right? And how good it is when you can have so many races that go with minimal yellow flags and still get that much diversity in victory lane. That speaks volumes to the caliber of competition that these guys boast.
Yeah, and I think it also speaks volumes to the difference that the next gen, moving out of the next gen and moving to the Xfinity car, you can go racing in this car. You simply can, and that right there is the big part about it. You know, you've got cars with a lot less downforce, a lot more horsepower. The car moves around. Cars, tracks, and combinations whereby you've literally got a manhandler. You can make a mistake and lose spots out of it. It's always going to create racing like this. But yeah, great job from Mark Krinke. Great job to the league. We're just in such a good space right now.
No cautions this afternoon. And I can tell you right now, a lot of people at iRacing would love to be involved in these types of races. And if you feel like you're among them, you are more than welcome to join ASRL on track. You can join their Discord server for more information. That server is down in the description of the live stream below. Mark Krinke will burn it down to the front straightaway. A little bit of a tame burnout there as far as burnout standards go. I'd give that one about a 6 out of 10. But we'll take a rundown of your official post-race results here this afternoon. The race started off wild. It tapered off to the end, but we get our first repeat winner of season number 3. Mark Krinke on top with Austin Cole in second, Joshua Hickey in third, Matt Schlosser in fourth, Mike Hamill will be in the number 5 spot with Paul Ellison back in 6th. Then it's Joshua Rutherford, Connor Dudek, Kenny Hoffman, and Jared Williams with the top 10, with only 7 finishing on the lead lap.
Yep, and from there on back, we're going to get into Dave Seitz from 12th spot, Matthew Croquet, Brian Minot, Carson George, Travis Fleming, Corey Rutherford, Alex Hallen. all those guys back to 2 laps down. Sorry, Alex Howland finishing out of 4 laps down. Casey Campbell at -7. Retirements, Matt Williamson, Brody Gunter, and Nate Morris, all with issues very early on. In fact, inside the first pit stop of the race.
And that will take us to the close of race in action here this afternoon, and we'll get the chance to give a chit-chat here to all the drivers that were able to come home and put together a solid outing this afternoon. Let's speak first and foremost to the man of the hour, Mark Krinke, when we can bring him on up here into the broadcast booth, which we will be able to do right now. So, Mark, you come home. It is your second win of the season, back-to-back wins, and you become the first repeat winner of the season as well. So, overall, it's looking good for you right now in that 313.
It is looking really good. I'm kind of surprised. Normally, I don't have good short-run speed here, but somehow I put it on the pole.
Talk us through the race this afternoon. It was, of course, completely caution-free from start to finish this afternoon, and those races don't come around all that often, even in ASRL. There's always one or two. So how'd you manage to keep your focus and play the strategy game right tonight?
I think my strategy was just save those rear tires, because it's really easy to overheat that right rear, and just be smooth with it. Somehow it went long, and that's where I really excel here at Auto Club.
Well, we were able to get a very calm race this afternoon after a wild one at Irwindale last week. But next week, we swing back to the short tracks as we swing out to the paperclip. What's your take on Martinsville Speedway, and what can we expect to see out of you from Virginia?
I really like Martinsville. I cannot drive the track to save my life, so it probably won't be 3 in a row.
Well, you never know. It could still very much go either way. But in the meantime, congratulations, Mark, on taking home a solid outing this afternoon. And we'll look to see you again next week at the paperclip.
All right, thanks, guys.
Mark Krinken comes home number 1 this afternoon. And finishing down for the Racing 3-Wide crew, it is Austin Call taking home another podium. He's standing by with Scott Rankin.
Yeah, Austin, difficult night here tonight. Obviously got yourself involved in a nice little battle for the race lead at one point, and man, then that right rear, she skipped over the race surface, you couldn't get the power down, and that's about all she wrote. But, you know, no qualifying lap, you drive your way through the field, you really kind of got to be happy. When you look at the overall sum of the night, not a bad night at all.
I have absolutely no idea what Mark does to those tires. He's got to be putting some voodoo magic on those things or something. I thought I had pretty good long run pace. That first run, I kind of killed the tires trying to get to the field as quickly as possible. So I'm not surprised that the right rear just gave up on me. But the next 2 runs, my tires were perfectly fine. Like by the end of runs, and he was just gone. I had nothing for him.
We will actually, it probably wouldn't surprise you to know that he actually gave up about 3 or 4 spots in the opening 5 to 10 laps of the race, and then over the next 30 laps ran them all back down and disappeared into the sunset. So does that surprise you at all?
No, because I saw him. I was pretty close to him at one point, and then we both moved through the field kind of together. And I think we actually passed Matt around the same corner. Well, he passed for the lead, and I got next to Matt. And then I just watched him pull away. I tried short pitting at one point, and then I knew it was pretty much over whenever he still came out ahead of me, and I had worse tires.
It's been a difficult season thus far, but, you know, up and down, you're now starting to latch together a whole bunch of finishes. Next time out, we're heading to Martinsville. What are your hopes on getting through that one in fair shape?
I'm just hoping. I'm really good there. I just am concerned with getting punted. I don't. My hope is I can just get up front and stay there, but I know that's never going to happen, and I'm just gonna have to hope I miss all the wrecks because I don't know how clean that one's gonna be.
Well, congratulations on P2 here tonight. Who would you like to give a thank you to?
I gotta thank my parents for letting me do this, and then my grandma for watching all these races. She's watching right now. She asked, "What did I say to Krinke after the race?" And I don't know what she's talking about. I don't know if it's something y'all said about me saying something to him?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
We said we heard what you said about with 10 laps to go. Of hey, I think one of your tires is loose. We heard that. That's
Yeah.
probably what you
Okay, maybe
said.
that's what she's talking about. I was just. People have done that to me before, so I tried to throw it out there.
Man, I think it's funny. I think you guys were trying to have a little bit of in-race banter, and yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. That's just racing. That's you get to the back end of a race, no one's fighting each other. You'll sometimes get a little bit bored in the race car. That's all that is.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I think I kind of out-strategied Josh, and then that's when it kind of just got boring because I was all by myself now. I didn't have Josh to fight.
All right, mate. Well, congratulations. We'll see you next week from Martinsville. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, yep. See ya.
So Austin Call comes home number 2 this afternoon, and that will allow us to bring up your Season 1 champion, Joshua Hickey. We'll bring him into the broadcast booth. And, well, Josh, a great race for you. Not often do we see people finish where they start, but you're able to do just that. You fight your way around Matt Schlosser to pick up the last step on the podium. Talk us through your race tonight.
Not sure. There's a lot of real estate here on this track, so it was kind of experimenting with lines the whole race, and just didn't have a whole lot of all-out pace, so I was just trying to be smooth. And I suggest anybody too to I turned my steering ratio down a little bit. It helped a lot, especially being close to somebody on exit. I was able to be a little more precise and stayed on top of any slides. There's a lot of sliding, having to double stint the tires, but had it in my hands, it was pretty easy to control, even with the slower steering. I got a small rim. But yeah, it was just interesting having no yellows with doing 2 double stints on the tires there. So that's a pretty good thing. Sometimes it seems like I got to have everything go right to get a win, but I can't complain too much. But I missed my pit box and just made a couple mistakes, got slowed down in traffic, but I'd reel them in a little, and then I'd make a mistake or just get held up a little bit, and that's all it takes.
Well, you're able to put together a very, very solid outing this afternoon and take home an extraordinary win. Extraordinary podium, sorry. You look to be in a good position right now, championship-wise. You are still leading the points in the regular series season. You've extended that lead over Brody Gunter. Do you think a return to form in terms of a championship run is still on the cards?
Hell yeah. I'll be there, hopefully. I hope Brody's all right. We had a bunch of bad storms roll through here, so he got disconnected. So I guess I'd be the first. Thank the good Lord for not taking my ass out. Would be the first person I think. I think ESGI, Renee's working. He wasn't able to make it, so kind of feel bad. He's working. I'm playing. Purple Haze Autosport, Green Flag TV. Scott up there with you today?
Yes, he sure was, until just a few moments ago.
Thank you, Nolan and Scott, and all our league admins, and Corey and Rick and Casey, and everybody that came out. I think we had a decent showing tonight. So it was a lot of fun. Didn't really know the track that well, but just tried to hang in there.
And thank you, Josh, for taking the time to join us this afternoon. Congratulations on your number 3 finish today. And we will see you when we go racing in just a little while. So Josh Hickey will come home 3rd this afternoon, and that will take us to the close of racing action here on this beautiful afternoon on Sunday. 1 race to go in the month of March, and that will be for the High Tide Racing League Guardian Premier Series with their Daytona duels coming on up tomorrow at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Time. You got, of course, the ASRL Cup Series back for more action at Kentucky, and then the PSR Sim Gaming Expo Truck Series has their season opener with Evan Pasoko and Derek Watson on a Wednesday night at 8:25. In the meantime, if you want to find out more about who we are, what we can offer you, you can check us all out today at www.greenflagtv.com. As always, my name was Lola Rempel. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you when we go racing next week at the world's fastest paperclip in Virginia.